Mr. Chairman, this is the part which I think we've finally come to, and if we've come to the agreement that we've come to now, we probably would have come to it on the 9th rather than the 11th of December. It is. Well, we might be on the 9th on the wall, or the member might be living in the past, but outside it's Saturday, and I think it's fair to say that we are here unnecessarily today as a result of the failure on the part of the government to reach a compromise on this. And I think all members in the House know that it has been my strong personal view and the view of the Labour Party that the removal of police checks for children who are in gymnasium and shoppers' creches was an error. There was a lot of debate about whether it was intended or not, and the Minister on the first reading of the bill indicated it was not the intention, but it then became clear that the papers that she'd received earlier had made the fact that that was occurring clear. The fact that wiser heads have intervened, and we've reached the point now where we are reinstating police checks through the Health and Safety and Employment Act 1992, and I frankly do not care what the legislative vehicle is that does it. The key thing, as far as I'm concerned, the law of New Zealand is the law of New Zealand. And if the law of New Zealand says that people who are looking after children in this situation have to have police checks, as it currently does, the idea that they are withdrawn is not acceptable. And I don't mind at all which vehicle is used to ensure that they are protected. I do want to emphasise that this is not a total protection. I think all of us know from the cases that go before the Teachers' Council there are a lot of people who have been vetted who end up offending against children. In fact, some of the most sickening conversations that I've had in my life have been with chairs and directors of the Teachers' Council which relate to cases where people in positions of trust have abused children. And this won't stop that happening. It won't stop it happening in limited attendance centres. But what it will do is give the opportunity for the police to indicate where in the past there has been a conviction, or even where there's an investigation or a suspicion, because the police quite often in these cases, there are a lot of cases that the police deal with that don't go close to prosecution because of the age of the child or the quality of the evidence, but there's still a flag kept on an individual's record, which would mean that they would fail to get a check in this area. And I would also like to say is that again there will be a lot of people who have not been caught, and there's a possibility of getting through the system, and people should be very careful about relying on it. And my view is that it is always better for whatever sort of early childhood centre to have a lot of glass around. I think there's a very big protection in having children being able to be viewed, children and adults being able to be viewed from other rooms at all times, so that there's not the temptation, kids can't be in corners or in cupboards. Unfortunately, the sort of creches that are set up too often in gymnasia and in shoppers' areas don't have that sort of openness. They're more likely to be ad hoc arrangements. I don't want to really describe them as cupboards, but I have seen converted storerooms, which I think are not good places for keeping kids. I do want to accept, although we did it on part one, I think the Chair won't mind, Mr Chairman, if I go back and say I do accept that some of the regulation in that area went too far, and we've removed that, and I think there's but in removing it we went further Mr Chairman.
Call the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
We went further than we should have in the removal of the police checks. So I do want to thank in particular Jerry Brownlee for his work and Simon Power for their work in this area, because I think we've now got to what is a reasonable situation, and it shows that we as a Parliament are determined not to weaken the law around the protection of children.
The question is, I call